And we are rolling. We have the Fight Night 260 recap. Ulberg versus Reyes. I went 9-3, which is not terrible, but it's not as good as I want to be. You know, we're gonna get into it right now. In fact, don't go anywhere. We're starting right now at the bottom of the card, starting with Loma Lookboonmee versus Alexia Thainara. I chose Thainara. Let's go over to Tapology here. I chose Thainara. Reasoning: she's just a beefier woman. She's a smaller kind of girl, and she got wrestled. She got out wrestled pretty much. And even on the feet, because Thainara is just like kind of a presence in there in terms of like her size and her power, I guess you could say. Even though they are straw weights, she has decent power because she throws. She throws with her body, which is how you're supposed to fight. A lot of people, like we'll talk about going up in the card. That man. Like, what you swinging your arms like that, man? You're mounted on that guy, you're swinging your arms at him like that? You need to learn how to freaking fight, dude. I think he ended up losing, right? We'll see, I forgot. But as we go up, I'll remember. Next up, we have Brandon Pericic versus Elisha Ellison. What do I say about that girl name? What did I say about it? I said this guy right here, Brando. Did I just call him Brandon? I don't know. Same name. He just put an N on the end. Like, I said this guy was going to be too big for this guy, and it was true. This guy actually looked bigger than I thought, because during the promo, he was talking about how he's going to kill himself, the whole, you know, unaliving thing, I guess it's supposed to say on YouTube. And, like, that was sad, and I noticed he was kind of big. Like, he was actually kind of a bigger guy. I don't know if he's only 5'11", because DC's like 5'10", right? 5'10", 5'11". He's listed as 5'11". I don't know, I think he might be a little bit bigger than that. But my reasoning for this guy winning was exactly what happened. He just overpowered this guy. He was so much bigger. He's like 6'5" and like a heavy 6'5". And I didn't even realize until he started his post-fight speech after he KO'd this guy in round 1, not round 2, I guess round 2. And he was mentioning that he got into it because he wanted fitness. Which is usually not the best person to pick, is the guy that's into it for fitness versus the guy that was in it because he used to be like an MP and law enforcement and in the military and wanted to murder himself. Like, usually you want to pick a guy like that, but in this case, man, like sometimes physical attributes are just gonna dominate. Especially when it comes to heavyweights that are less skilled. Heavyweights are less skilled than the lighter weight classes because they bang way harder. It's easier to be less skilled, especially also because of gravity, stuff like that, right? They're heavier, but also they knock their opponents out easier. They choke them out a little bit easier if they get a handle on them, or whatever, however you want to say it. And that's why they're less skilled, also because of gravity, and they just learn less over time compared to the lighter weight classes. And that's why when it comes to these weight classes, heavyweight, you can kind of not go for the mentality. He has a good mentality, though. Let's not get that twisted. He has a good fight mentality. I think he's a tough guy. He wants to fight, so he has a good mentality. But let's just say if he didn't, that wouldn't be the reason to not choose him. Because just like the physical attributes at this weight class with the lesser skill set, that's going to happen a lot. He just dominated him based on like his size. He's a big ass man. That big ass man. You want to fight this guy? You got to stab him, dog. Don't fight him. Anyway, we move up to Michelle Montague, who I called Michelle Montague. I think Montague sounds way better than Montague. It's also way more American, and I like America. I'm kidding. I mean, I do. Anyway, so I chose Montague via decision, which happened. Luana did a little bit better than I thought she would, but only in the first round, right? She basically blew her load trying to hit Michelle. She hit Michelle with some good shots. She cut her with an elbow when she was on the bottom, I think, of Michelle even. So Luana sometimes has some good strikes in her fights. But ultimately, like I called her like a bad fighter, I agree with myself, with my past self. She's not a good fighter, man. Like, yeah, like, can she hurt people? Of course. But like literally anyone can hurt somebody. Like, anyone can hurt another person, man. Like, people seem to not really understand that. Even women can hurt men if the man allows it to happen, right? But like, if you don't allow it to happen, like Michelle here, she freaking punished her. And yeah, she was all cut up and stuff by the end of the fight. And it wasn't the best performance that she could have put on. But ultimately, if you watch that fight back, she dominated Luana, and she landed harsh, good shots on the ground, like with elbows and I guess some punches as well. I mostly remember elbows for some reason from this fight. I feel like they were like she was throwing elbows off the bottom, she was throwing elbows off the top. And then we move up to the card. Colby Thicknesse, is this guy I was talking about? Yes. Yo. I did pick him. He won, actually. Earlier I just mentioned, did he lose? No, he won. But, like, not so impressively. He won by decision, as I would have guessed, versus KO wizard Josias Musasa. But Colby Thicknesse with the slickness did not have no slickness. That was the guy I was talking about, throwing his hands like this. He was mounted on top of this guy. He was way up basically on it, like his chest. He had such a strong mount near the end of, I think it was round 1, when he was like pretty much dominating him. And he's just like, oh my god, how you punching with your arms like that, bro? Use your body. Like, it's freaking basic physics. And that's why Magny, which we'll talk about later, I mean, that's not why he won his fight, but like, he used physics because he understands how to contort a body to make it fall, dog. It's easy. You do know how to contort a body to make yourself punch stronger? You freaking pull it back and you punch him. This guy punching like a bitch. I swear, I hate to see it. I hate to see when you're in such a dominant position and you punch like a bitch. Like, what the heck were those punches, my guy? Like, to me, it looked like he was a kid fighting his brother during that fight. That was so goofy. It was so goofy, dog. And he still won, which is good, I guess, because it was my pick. Next up, we move to Jamie Mullarkey. I said that he was gonna punish this boy for 3 rounds, and he kind of did. Although Bedoya did pick up in the 3rd round, he was basically just getting outclassed for 2 rounds, and then I guess Jamie kind of blew his load doing a little bit of grappling during those rounds, so he was a little bit tired, and Bedoya was landing good shots in round 3, but ultimately he did get bullied most of the time. I think toward the end Mullarkey was still winning. I'm not sure, I don't really remember that too well, but Mullarkey definitely won that fight. And Bedoya, I think, now moves to 0-4 in the UFC, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, you never won a UFC fight, and it's not like he's fighting tough company. Well, Mullarkey's tough, but like, I think some of the other guys he fought were not even that impressive UFC fighters. And you're losing, Doug? Some people were talking about him like he was gonna slap Jamie Mullarkey up, and I was like, how is that even possible if you've never won a UFC fight? Mullarkey's won. Like, there are levels to this. There's a reason why the UFC is still the best in terms of MMA. It's because they're actually the best. It's not because of marketing fluff. Yes, I understand marketing can hype people up way more than they're supposed to be hyped up, but the UFC has the best fighters. If you're not winning fights in the UFC ever, you're not a UFC fighter, even if you fought there. Nah, dog. I mean, like, in the future, you know, when you're retiring, you can say, yeah, you fought in the UFC. But, like, are you truly a fighter of any organization, not just the UFC? Literally any organization you go into, if you've never won a fight in that organization, can you truly call yourself that fighter? Like, yeah, you're an MMA fighter, but, like, you lost the whole time. Like, in my mind, especially if you're talking about the best league, it makes more sense to talk about it in this way with the UFC. If you've never won, you've never really truly been a UFC fighter. In my mind, that's how it works. I say that about all the newbies that come in, like the ones that have another fight against another newbie that never fought another UFC fighter. I always talk about it because it's a freaking thing. It matters. It matters. That's why he won. He's a veteran. Don't forget to hydrate. As we move up the card, don't forget to check out the VPN. I'm sure it's been popping in and out. We also have a crypto option, super easy to use, just an email address. And boom, you got freaking VPN access for as little as $2, dog. Freaking come up, $2? Nobody's offering. No, you can't find a VPN that cheap. Trust me, you can't. You have to pay. You have to prepay for like a year if you ever want to be close to $2. But anyway, Cam Rowston defeats Andre Petroski versus or via KO TKO in round 1. I chose round 2. I thought they were gonna warm up a bit. Plus Andre is the type to kind of adrenaline dump. He's the kind of guy that's gonna go ham until he can't. That's kind of how he fights, in my opinion, from what I've seen. That's why I chose Cam in round 2 rather than round 1. I didn't think he was gonna get him out there that fast, that easy. This was actually probably one of the quickest fights of the night. Other than maybe the main event. Did the main event go this long? Ooh, we move up the card to Navajo Stirling versus Rodolfo Bellato via round 3 decision. I probably should have picked Stirling because I was talking about how he had not enough experience. And he was clearly the better fighter of the two. But here's the reason why I tend to not pick these guys like Stirling. And it is definitely bias. Like, I don't like the way you fight, my guy. You fight freaking more safely than someone like Israel Adesanya. Like, I like the way that Izzy fights because he actually attacks people. Navajo does not do that much attacking. Yeah, like, he was hurting Rodolfo, and he was actually, like, his skill level was way higher in my opinion. It's just he blew his load in the first 2 rounds, doing a lot of grappling with Rodolfo. And then in the 3rd round, he just kind of took it off, trying not to get hurt. And in my opinion, like, that kind of fight style is so trash. That's such a trash fight style. And like the first 2 rounds, he was kind of like pushing Rodolfo up against the fence a lot. And the difference between when Rodolfo would do it is he was looking for moments the whole time. I noticed, you can't see it popping up when I'm grabbing it, huh? Rodolfo was looking for moments the entire time that he was trying to fight. Like, he was trying to fight Navajo, and yes, he was worse technically, for sure. He's not on the same level, skill level, no way. But he has more aggression, and he was trying to freaking win the fight the whole time, all 3 rounds. He lost pretty much all 3 rounds, but man, Navajo fights like a freaking girl. Like, you have more power than that. You probably could have KO'd Rodolfo in round 1 if you were actually a fighter. But this is the type of guy that learns how to be safe, and when he gets hit, he doesn't like it. And that's why I don't pick these guys, and that's why I got the wrong pick, because I'm really about that aggression. Like, aggression and toughness, really. And yes, skill I respect tons, of course. I respect skill a lot, but not if you're using it in the way that Stirling uses it, and he does that in like all of his fights. And you notice at the end of his thing, when he was doing his speech at the end of the fight, he was talking about how he I'm paraphrasing, but that he was disappointed in this one too, just like the other 2 decisions he got, because he doesn't know how to turn on the gas when he needs to, and he seems to want to just play it safe. He's a safe fighter, and in my mind, that's never gonna change. Now, is he still gonna succeed and be good? I think so. He has a lot of skill, but bro, you need to find that fire in you. Otherwise, you're not gonna become champ. Maybe like if he got like a late notice replacement or something, sure. Like, but like at this stage, light heavyweight, fighting like this, just too safe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, you need to find more aggression, and he will be like the ultimate fighter, dog. The UFC's ultimate fighter. Like, he has the potential. I just don't think he has the mindset, Navajo. He just doesn't have the mindset for it, because when he gets hit hard, like, it seems like he doesn't really want to fight. He just wants to be safe, and that's kind of a human thing to do. But at the same time, if you're not able to turn off that switch and go ham on the other guy, you're going to get those decisions, and you're going to lose decisions too, being a safe fighter. Next up, we move up the card to Tom Nolan defeating Charlie Campbell via submission at 4 minutes of round 1. I had him as a decision. I thought it was just going to play out kind of the way it was playing out. Charlie was actually doing decently in the beginning of this round, like the first couple minutes. maybe he was even winning the round ultimately, but barely. And he was doing it in a way that you could tell that he was not gonna last. There are certain ways of fighting, unlike Navajo, who tried to really make sure he lasted, even though he did kind of blow his wad in the first 2 rounds, but that was mostly the grappling. It wasn't because he was going ham trying to fight this guy. He was trying to push him, and also defensively sometimes, I suppose. But I think Rodolfo primarily was striking Navajo in the first 2 rounds because he couldn't really get at him. And the 3rd round, when Navajo was more tired, that's when Rodolfo started pushing him against the fence. But he was trying to find something every time. Anyway, we already talked about that. Back to Tom Nolan defeating Charlie. Yeah, Charlie just seemed like he was kind of blowing his load a bit in the first, and I think if he kept fighting the way he was fighting, even if he didn't get caught by a submission, he would have gotten caught by something eventually, because he would have slowed down. And usually when you're fighting like that and you're slowing down already in the first round, nah, you're not gonna last 3, that's for sure. And we move up the card to Neil Magny. Respect. I called him ugly. I mean, he still is, but respect for winning against Jake Matthews. And he made it look like he was the veteran. Jake almost looked like he couldn't do shit the whole time. It was 3-round decision, but Jake hardly ever did anything. There were a couple of moments. Well, yeah, he had moments. He had moments for sure. But when it comes to Magny, Magny's just a smarter guy. He has more fight IQ. And like I mentioned earlier about the physics, he grabbed this man's crotch and lifted his freaking position just in the right way to drop him. It looked like he was about to pile drive him. A lot of fighters don't seem to understand that you can do stuff like that. And it didn't even look, Magny's a skinny guy. He's not that strong. Trust me, he's not that strong. He utilized physics and his freaking smartness to do that. And I'm not just talking about that one moment, it was the whole fight. His fight IQ is very decent, Neil Magny's, and he utilizes his strengths to his advantage, and he utilized Matthews' weaknesses to Matthews' disadvantage. So Matthews lost. Honestly, in my mind, I don't know if I mentioned it during my picks video, but I do feel like a lot of the time I lean toward Magny whenever he's fighting. I mentioned in the video, I do remember mentioning that he's kind of a journeyman. He's always been stable, and he's always never had a high ceiling in our minds, in the viewership's minds. But in my mind, I've always kind of picked him a lot of the time. He's a wild card in a lot of ways in these kind of fights. So definitely not surprised he won. And looking forward to seeing more Neil Magny fights in the future as we move up to Jack Jenkins defeating Ramon Tavares. I'm not going to try that anymore. Via round 3 decision. Yeah, I thought he was going to... Ramon did way better than I thought he would. He had more power. He had more gung-ho-ness than I thought he would. He was throwing his shots with ill intention, as John Anik and those nerds like to say. I guess that's a decent line to say, because people, just as I was talking about with this frickin' bum down here, this little boy throwing those little baby shots, bantamweight, god dang dog. I mean, not because he's a bantamweight, but because he's a bantamweight and he looked like a little boy, it made it worse. The way he was throwing those freaking mounted shots on Josias. It was so silly looking. It was insane. Because he had such a good position, and you're throwing shots like that, my guy. Land some elbows. Use your body. Man, you need to learn how to throw a punch. You're a fighter. You're a freaking fighter. You don't know how to use physics like Neil Magny does? Jesus, dog. It should be ingrained in you. As we move up to... not too much more to say about this. Ramon did pretty well. Yeah. I mean, Jack barely won, I think, based on that fight. I don't think I was paying too much attention during this fight, to be honest. It's kind of a more boring fight. The prelims had better fights than the main card, and I feel like there were certain people that were disagreeing with me. I don't see how you disagree unless you were just picking the other people and you're sad about it. But I don't really care about my picks in terms of the excitement. This was not a bad fight. This was not a bad fight between these women. This was a good fight between these men. This was a good fight between these women. As much crap as I talk about Luana sucking, she sucked in just the right way to make it a good fight, in my opinion. This was, you know, despite him throwing his freaking girly shots off the top, like, this was a freaking good fight. It was fun. It was high-packed, high action the entire freaking time. Good fight. This one was a good fight, dog. All the freaking prelims were good. This one was freaking good. Cam Rowston. This one was not. Is this the main card? Oh, it's part of the prelims. Okay. Well, Navajo is boring. We already know that. And then the main card starts with Tom Nolan. And this was not that good of a fight. And this one right here, decent. This one was a decent fight with Neil, but not great. This one, not that great. Like, all the prelims, in my opinion, were good. Except for the Stirling one. Most of the main card was not good. Fruit was a good one. He finished Urslan, who I talk crap about. Like, I talk crap about somebody else beating Urslan. Imagine the crap I would talk about somebody losing to him, right? But Jimmy didn't lose to him. He beat his ass easy and submitted him. He basically bullied him the whole time. And we move up to the top of the card with my wrong pick. So I went 9-3, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And Carlos is definitely, as I mentioned, I can see it going the other way. I have the freaking video evidence. I can see it going the other way. Just because I picked Dominick Reyes does not mean I was entirely wrong. Because I know you can say that about any fight, right? You can just save yourself like that. But I don't say that about every fight. I only said that about this fight. And with this fight, I could see going the other way. I had Reyes via round 1 KO. Look who got the round 1 KO. It went the other way. Carlos Ulberg. Freaking, I hate that name because for some reason I'm trying to say the R way earlier. Ulberg. The Black Jag. Carlos Ulberg. But anyway, good fight. Very good fight. Dominick fights like a freaking bum. Like, I mentioned it as well. I didn't say he fights like a bum in the picks video. I mentioned that his technicality with fighting is not as good as Carlos's. I did explicitly say that, well, maybe he's not as good technically as Carlos, but when he smells blood, he goes for it more than Carlos. And I still think that's true. Just because he got finished by Carlos doesn't mean that Carlos smelled blood and went for it. What happened was he just freaking out like he utilized Reyes' disadvantages against him. Reyes is a plodding fighter. He stands very still, and he likes to kind of lean back slightly with his freaking weight all on the ground with nothing for him to, like, lean back on, you know? Like, he's not, like, he's kind of planting himself forward. Here's physics again, right? You're planting yourself on the ground, but you're barely leaning back. You're still planted, my guy. You're still taking the brunt of those hits super hard. That's why Reyes gets knocked out the way he gets knocked out, because he's planting himself on the ground. He doesn't know footwork. You know, footwork is physics too, right? Like, it's freaking easy. If you stand hard like a stone, you're going to get hit hard like a stone can get hit. It's freaking easy, dog. And he got hit hard. And Carlos, in that moment that happened, it's not like he smelled blood. I don't think Dominick was, like, injured or hurt at that moment, but he just had that technique, perfect landing right on the side of his freaking big ol' head. Someone said he had a small head. No, this guy had got a big ol' head. You can see that big ol' head, dog. It's big as fuck. And I guess that ends the picks. This has been Ulberg versus Reyes. I went 9-3, not terrible. My very first picks video on this channel, like 2 weeks ago, I went 6-7, which is usually I never get lower than like 60 to 70% with my picks, and even that's low for me. I would say like around 60-70% is kind of low for me to pick. I mean, what's 9-3? That's not that great, but I think it's pretty decent. Like, getting 3 wrong. Although, yeah, this one makes sense. Like, I probably should have went with Carlos. I think I would have been 10-2, because I definitely could have went with Carlos. But with the other ones that I got wrong, like No, that's true as well. I could have gone with Neil as well, but which one did I get wrong that I No, I mean, honestly all three of my wrong picks absolutely make sense. I should have picked the other guy. They all make sense. This one I picked mostly because against him. I picked against him rather than for Bellato. That's what happened with this one. I picked against someone, and usually when you're picking against someone, the picks are worse usually because it's more like coming from like an emotionality rather than just like an intuition or logic, right? But yeah, those have been the picks. I have been Coin. Check out my VPN on the website www.coin.me. You can buy in crypto using just an email address or subscribe the normal way. For now, yeah, this has been Coin. You have been you. This has been UFC Perth, Fight Night 260, Ulberg versus Reyes. Yeah, good night.